Hello, everyone. I'm a little late to this as I try to upload every Monday and sooner for these Sons of the Forest update videos, but I was in the bush for a week learning primitive survival skills. My hair still smells of campfire smoke, even though I don't recall being in front of a fire all that much. Anyway, you are not here for that. You are here to learn about the updates in Sons of the Forest per patch 11. This update isn't as extensive as some of the others, but End Night is chipping away at getting this game complete, and this one gave me the Forest type vibes. Mainly because they updated the caves with gore that is reminiscent of the gore found in the caves within the forest. You'll see these piles of bloody gore on the floor of the caves and some skeletons. And I actually did find a dead woman in the rebreather cave, so you might start to see some of that in some of the other caves as well. They also added similar props to the fisherman cabins, which are located on the west side of the island, adjacent to the golf course. Going back to the topic of caves, one cave received an update, and I think these updates are just the beginning of what's to come. Cave A now has an extension area, and a new question mark item was added to the said cave extension. Cave A is the rebreather cave, and as a warning, the creepies respawn, and there were more than I remember. Typically, once you clear out a cave system, creepies respawning is pretty minimal. However, I think this update triggered a reboot on the creepy spawning in the cave system because it was like I was going through it for the first time. So as a heads up, be prepared for a fight if you check out the extension area. Anyway, the extension area is located in the stun gun branch of the cave. You'll see a couple of coffins and a crap load of creepies. Then you hang a left and go down a rope. The area doesn't seem that large, but it is a maze down there. Something that is also reminiscent of the forest. It appears the question mark item looks like the artifact 2 from the forest, and you need 2 parts to complete it, meaning the second part will be added later in the game. Only time will tell what it will be used for though. I also looked into the update that says Cave C entrance groups reworked to have less active objects above ground. This update tested my reading comprehension, and I assume this means there just aren't as many items on the ground. I also assumed Cave C is a shovel cave and looked around the immediate entrance outside and just inside the cave, and I'm not really sure what has changed. So if you happen to know, please leave a comment down below and inform us all what this update means. There were a few updates made to the cannibals and creepies. First, a few updates ago, End Night made a change where creepies would explode into chunks. I emphasize the word chunks because this update says that babies can now be exploded into gibs. Now, I was curious about the change in terminology, thinking gibs are just smaller chunks, and that's fitting for babies, but in the process of satiating my curiosity, I found that gibs is often used as gamer slang. So either gibs is in fact smaller chunks, or End Night is showing how hip they are. Anyways, here's some babies exploding into gibs. There was also an update made saying puppies have increased their walk speed by 20% and attack speed by 10%. I did not see that much of a difference, but if you feel or have seen the difference, then let us know in the comments down below. But here's some footage of me just recording a puppy and seeing if I could see much of a difference. For some reason, though, the twins felt like they were moving faster, but that's just a personal note that I'm inserting here. With respect to cannibals, there are spear-throwing cannibals now. I have no idea what End Night has called him in their backend stuff, so instead of spawning this guy in, I came across him naturally. I didn't really get a chance to see him in action because Virginia was always around every time he paid me a visit, so of course she annihilated him before he even threw a spear. What I do know is you can pick up his spears, and if he gets intimidated by seeing his clan get killed, then he will run away from you. I tried to follow him here, if only to get Virginia off his back so I could see him in action a little bit more, but I lost him. A cannibal named Greg will also leave effigies around your base. Again, this is something that's also very reminiscent of the forest, and you can definitely just knock them down if you don't want them on your property anymore. And you could get a few sticks, bones, and skulls out of them. Frank the fire cannibal is now leading families to wreak havoc on you. So as far as I can tell, these visits from Frank are pretty much like any other cannibal visit or raid that you might come across in your normal gameplay. He basically leads the way with a couple other cannibals, and they all start to attack you, and they probably come periodically. In order to shoot footage for this update video, I played this game for a few hours, and this is the only time I came across the Frank family clan or whatever. So I'm not sure how frequently he will visit as opposed to any other cannibal raid, but just watch out for him because I do consider him kind of a maniac. Next, I'm going to go over a big update related to building and electricity before I get into spoiler territory. First of all, there are now additional tutorials for using electricity, and those can be found in your crafting book by pressing B. You will find that you need a battery to power your electricity at night. These batteries can be found in the back of golf carts, but they are also on shelving units inside bunkers. You can store 2 in your backpack at a time, but you cannot place them on shelves in your base. This update also includes an overloading system where large bases will need more batteries to power the entire grid. So it's more realistic in that sense. So you saw a few seconds ago that I had the solar panels installed, but the electricity was not powering my base. That was because I didn't have a battery and it was nighttime. Once I obtained a battery and installed it, voila, the lights were on. So this is really just showing you how that update works. Solar panels can now be placed freely without relying on a support system structure and can be connected to power grids with wires. So before you had solar panels where you can only place it in one spot, these work very similarly as before. You just have a little bit more freedom on where you can actually place the solar panel. The next set of updates are minor and pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to list some of the main ones. First, as far as buildings go, corner beams contribute to structural resistance. You can now place leaning beams against each other, and this allows stacking to one level. Along a similar vein, when constructing corner roofs or ramps, a full log isn't required anymore. Instead, smaller logs will be used, so that means you'll be using fewer resources to construct roofs or ramps. There are also a ton of fixes related to adding sound when placing struts, a ton of issues with corner ramps, which are also the corner roofs, and issues with sequencing for when a ramp is placed above a pillar. So a ton of fixes with the building. I am so sorry you guys had issues with that. I haven't built in quite some time, so I was running into none of that. Plus my bases are pretty simple at this point, so that's gotta be tough. Volumetric fog is more visible in the bunkers, and then the food is improved, and so is the residential lighting in the bunkers as well. At night also fixed the issue with the cave shark not spawning on low animal settings. Since I was in the rebreather cave all ready to shoot for the new extension area that's in there, I went back to the area where you get the rebreather, and I still didn't see the shark, and this is all being shot in my hard survival difficulty game. So I don't know if it's a guarantee that the shark is supposed to spawn every single time. There's always the possibility that I just missed it while I went through this part of the cave, but regardless, maybe if anything, they just spawn at a much lower frequency, and it's not a guarantee that you will see the cave shark. The next part is a spoiler that I have mentioned before. It's kind of a spoiler, but not really. Basically, if you don't want to see how meeting Mr. and Mrs. Pufton has changed over time, you might want to leave now, and we'll just see you later. I'm going to play the cutscene with no commentary, but I'll say a few things about the change once it is played through, so just sit back and enjoy for right now, and we'll see you in a little bit. So we see 4 people total, one of the people being the silver jacket dude. The other 3 guys are dressed like the comrades we have seen dead across the map who likely work for the same company as the main character. This is the first time you see the full body of the silver jacket dude, and he's wearing similar pants as our fallen comrades, Kelvin and myself. I started to think he worked for the same company as myself as the main character, but according to the bunker with the 3D printer on the computer, you see that he is a lawyer for Pufton Corp. Maybe we all work for Pufton Corp, I don't know. So this leaves some question as to his connection with the whole weirdness of the story, but it seems like maybe the silver jacket dude is a traitor and he got some comrades to join him with his traitor stuff. It's wild speculation, and between the creepies, the cultists, the cannibals, and this guy, the connections need to come together eventually. I do want to make a lore video on this game at some point, but I'm waiting until all the pieces come together better. In the meantime, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the story and this update in general. Leave a comment down below and let us know your thoughts. I think that's going to do it for today, guys. My name is Heather, and thanks so much for letting me put my game on for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!